Hello everyone and welcome to another video. Before we get started today, I just wanted to let everybody know that we've created the Symphony POS support Facebook group. This is a free group that anybody can join where you can ask questions about Symphony or Oracle hospitality products in general. So if you're interested, I'll leave a link to it in the description below. We would love to have you as part of our group. And with that small announcement out of the way, today I wanted to discuss about adding menu items in bulk. What would be the fastest way to add menu items if you have multiple to add or you're even creating a new menu? And at the end, I'm also going to show you how you can actually copy menu items from different areas of the restaurant, such as if you have a staging branch in one enterprise and you're trying to move them to the live branch, or if you have a test property created where you test out your menu items first and then you're moving them to the main one. So let's take a look at our menu item maintenance area. I'm going to open it at the enterprise level because that's where I have mine defined, and I'm going to click a quick search to populate my database. And as we know, the menu items have master records, then they also have definitions and price records. So in order for a menu item to work properly, then we need to have all three of these records. So what we're going to do is add multiple menu items. Now, if we need to add one menu item, pretty much we all know how to do it. We're going to select a menu item that is already here. So if we need to add a new breakfast entree, basically we're going to select an existing breakfast entree, click the little insert key, and then we're going to select from the drop down add menu item from template. And then we're going to take a look where the next record will go. It's going to go to 1019. So it's going to be right below my avocado toast. And then all I have to do is enter his name here. So I'm going to say new item one. And then let's say that this will cost $14. And then all I have to do is click OK. And if I have another one, all I have to do is click yes, and then add the next one, and so on and so forth. And that's a very quick and easy way to add one item. But let's say that we have 30 or 40. Usually we'll get them on an Excel spreadsheet from the chef or whoever will hand it out to us. Now, there is a feature in Symphony called import export, which would be great to accomplish something like this, where we have, let's say, 40 items on an Excel spreadsheet and we could import it straight into the database. But unfortunately, it's not very straightforward. It's not intuitive, and almost nobody uses it because it just does not work easily. It's kind of possible to make it work, but I'm not even going to bother getting into it because it's an absolute nightmare. So this is what I do. What I do is I click my little insert key, and then I'm going to select add master record without a template. I'm going to leave the name unpopulated. I'm going to check my major group and family group to make sure that's what I'm adding. So let's say I'm adding breakfast entrees here. And then I'm going to select a record number or a range. And for my range, what I'm going to do is I'm going to look where my first menu item would be available here. So that's going to be at 1020. So I'm going to enter 1020, and then I'm going to enter a dash, and then I'm going to count how many menu items I have. So let's say that I'm going to have until 1040. So that's going to be a total of 21 records because I have 21 menu items on an Excel spreadsheet. And then I'm just going to click OK. So now all of those items have been added. So, and all I have to do to see them is click a quick refresh. So if I scroll back down, I have this entire new block here with menu items. And this is very easy to do now because all I have to do is select the name of the menu item off of the Excel spreadsheet and then just select it, Control C for copy, Control V for paste, and then paste and paste and paste and paste. Right? So that's all you have to do, copying them back and forth from an Excel spreadsheet. I know it's not probably the best way that you could imagine, but trust me, this is the fastest one that I was able to find it, especially if we have the menu handed to us like that. So now that we have our menu item master records, after you copied all the master records, we're gonna actually add the definitions. So I usually like to add all my definitions at the same time as well. So I'm gonna select all of my new items, and that's gonna be from 20 to 24, well, however many you have. Then I'm gonna click my little insert here. And then from the drop down, I'm gonna select add definition to masters. And then we can actually use a template for this one. And then I'm gonna select my template, for example, the avocado toast at 1018, because I know that one works fine. So I can just enter here 1018, and then I have my avocado toast. And then I'm gonna check the box to add one definition, and also I can add my price records now. So all I have to do is click specify price record. And if all of them cost the same, which is highly unlikely, you can enter the price here, but mine are gonna be completely different. So I just leave it at 0 and then click OK. So now it's gonna confirm that we're adding 5 new records. I'm gonna click yes. And then if you are adding 5, then the 1-by-1 method is probably faster, but if you're adding 40, it's not gonna be. So now all I have to do is go here to my definition section, and we can see our definitions here. So they have been added as needed. And we can double check everything. So the menu item class is correct. This is correct. They are appearing under the breakfast slew, so all is good. And now I move to the price records and I got this blank screen. Now this is an EMC error that I've noticed before, and this usually happens when I'm adding multiple prices at the same time. So to fix this, all I have to do is close menu item maintenance and open it back again. So I'm going back to the price records and I'm gonna scroll back down to where my new items were. So these were the ones between 20 to 24 that I added. And the way I like to do this is basically I'm gonna use my numeric pad, and if you don't have a numeric pad, you can look at buying one of those USB ones that you can get on the side if you have a laptop or something that doesn't have the separate number pad like the full keyboards do, because it's very easy to enter prices that way. So let's say this one's gonna be 15, 14, 12, 13, 11. So I've entered all my price records like that. And if you're a quick typer and you just have them all in order in front of you, you can just go through these really quickly. Now, something else that I want to show you, another trick that I use when we copy and paste different items. Let's say that, for example, for these new items, and I left them all as new menu item 1 just to kind of stand out so we know where we are. Let's say that I would like to change the print class for all of them from the default print class, and I just want them to print in the expo only. So I'm gonna change this. Now, instead of kind of clicking on the ellipses and going through each one, what I usually do is change the first one, and then what you have to do is hit the F3 key on your keyboard, and F3 for EMC is basically copy. So you'll have to select that field and hit F3. And if you noticed, after I hit F3, the cursor moved down here. That was not me clicking in it, it just automatically did it. And the paste is not Control-C, Control-V as we're used to it, is F3, F4. So I hit F3 for copy, and now I hit F4, 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 and you can actually hold it down and it's gonna go all the way down through all the other ones as well. Okay, and I'm gonna close this and reopen it because I don't want all those changes to be made. But the F3, F4 is very useful for a lot of items when you need to add or make multiple changes, and it basically works in every field in EMC. It will work on the major groups, it will work on the family groups, it will work on prices, anything that you might need to change like the tax class override or anything else. So the F3, F4 is gonna be your copy paste basically for the different fields. Now I'm gonna go ahead and delete these items just so I have them out of my database here, and you can select them from the corner and then just hit delete on them. And again, you can delete menu items, but only before you use them. If you ring up any of these menu items in the system and they're used, now they are tracked in reporting and you will not be able to delete them anymore. And it's not recommended to delete them anyway, because reporting will be very confused. It has total foreign items that doesn't exist anymore. Now that we took a look at how we add menu items in a faster manner, then we also can take a look at how we could distribute. So distribution is a key that we have in EMC where we can actually move different items from one location to another. So what do I mean by that? Let's take an example with my property here. Sometimes if you have a larger enterprise or even a lot of regular restaurants, what they'll end up doing is they're either going to create a separate revenue center or maybe a separate property where they use it just for testing. They have kind of a test property, and they do that when they deploy a whole new menu, because they would like to add it in EMC and have everything configured. They call a workstation to it and they test it out for several days before and make sure that everything works well before they actually deploy it in the live environment. So if you have, for example, your menu items in your test property, and instead of making a copy of it, kind of moving them one by one into the real property, what you can do is use the distribution key. So let's say that this whole menu is brand new and you have it added in your test property, you tested it out, everything is good. Now all you have to do is move it to the live environment. So when the restaurant has closed, you come and you select all of the items that you need to move, and then here we have this key called distribute. So distribute will basically make a copy to whatever level we want of what we tell it. So basically I've selected all of these menu items from here, and now I'll have to check the box to where I want to distribute. So I can actually move it to just a revenue center, or to an entire property, or even to an entire enterprise. So be very careful which box you check for the destination here. And you can also select if you want to distribute just the master records, masters and definitions, or master definitions and prices. Most likely you'll leave all of these checked. And then for the selection, we'll leave it as selected records because we only want to move this, not the entire database. And there are some options here to override records if they exist, create records if they don't exist. So I would leave these by default. You don't have to mess around with them too much, but basically you would select them from your staging test property. And then when you're ready, all you have to do is click OK on this live property. And then when you hit OK, everything will get copied. Now that is all fine and well if you have a test property within your enterprise, but there are locations that actually have a staging branch, which is basically like an entire different enterprise just for testing different items. So what do you do in that situation? If I click the distribute key, I can only distribute within the current enterprise, but there is another key here that is even more powerful than that one, and that is called remote distribute. So if you click edit, you're going to see this button that says remote distribute. So basically what you can do is you can remote login into a different server, and you can enter your server name here and then your username and password for that server. Obviously you're going to need to have credentials for it. And then once you log into that, you can move stuff from your staging test enterprise or whatever enterprise you're moving from. You can actually copy everything to a brand new enterprise. And this doesn't apply just to menu items. Let's say if you were moving from one enterprise to another, you could remote distribute the entire database. You could remote distribute menu item classes, employees, everything that you needed to. So this is very, very good to have, very good to use, but it's also very powerful. So be very careful on what you select here, how many items you distribute, where do you distribute them. So be very, very cautious. Don't go too fast through this one. Double, triple check your settings to make sure you don't mess up that database. And that's all I have for you today. Those are all the tools that I use when I create big menu changes or if I'm moving menus from one part to the other. If you enjoyed this content, please make sure to leave the video a big like and subscribe to the channel. And let me know in the comments below what other subjects you would like to see featured in a future video. Remember to join our Facebook group, and I'll see you all next time.